Welcome back to another exciting WhatsApp episode. Today we have Andrew Parkin-White on board to provide valuable insights in working with industry leaders and emerging players and to share his experience with the most desirable clients in the industry. Andrew's goal is to support clients with their revenue growth by helping them to identify and monetize market opportunities. He does this by drawing an extensive experience in telecoms and digital technologies. Most recently, he has focused on IoT and cellular digital verifications. Clients can benefit from his wide-ranging track record with leadership roles in analyst firms and consultancies, including Analysys Mason, Informa, Ovum, and KPMG. Working with big-name companies and working, let's say, with startups, do you notice the difference of the approach in the communications with them? Who do you prefer most?
I think as I've got older, I've enjoyed working in smaller organizations and now sort of setting up our own business. We've sort of seen the things that large organizations don't do so well in terms of looking after their people. And we're trying to set on a new path. In terms of like working with supply side of things, I think you get a very different picture. Some of the large suppliers, that they know a lot, but they don't necessarily communicate it well. And the smaller players, they're usually very technology driven, so they have to kind of re-engineer their messages so that they're appealing to organizations. And if we think about it on the enterprise side of things, you've got some very large enterprises. Automotive is a big area of IoT, for example. But companies like Volkswagen and BMW, they've got big teams of IoT specialists who can take what people are offering and adapt them and build software around them. At the other end of the scale, you've got very small organizations. They're quite nervous. They don't know a lot about IoT. So, they're really looking at off-the-shelf type solutions. They might be a small transportation company, and they're using IoT to track where their deliveries are going or where their trucks are traveling to, and they're very much in learning mode.
Who is the most desirable client for you?
A desirable client can be quite naughty now. 2x2 matrix, like Boston Matrix, etc., where you classify things as high or low. And we used to have ignorance and arrogance. So if you've got a highly ignorant, highly arrogant client, it makes for a very difficult client. So you want companies that are not arrogant and not ignorant. Those are the best clients, and they come from all parts of the sizes of enterprise. But you can kind of spot very quickly with clients. If they think they know it all, it's hard to help them. And then they tend to make more mistakes and they're not as successful. Now, I've worked in advisory companies. I think if you're able to offer advice and give your perspective on the whole of the market and where particular opportunities lie and how to address those, if you're giving those to companies that genuinely want to do things, that makes for a very interesting relationship. And it's also kind of, as in any business, you want a good, solid relationship with organizations. You don't want to do a project for 12 weeks, hand over a PowerPoint deck, and disappear. You want to keep going with them and see project after project how they're progressing and how the first project you did has had any impact on the business and what's sort of the next stage we're taking it. And the sort of projects I've done over the years and we're doing it at present, I mean, they vary so much. Some are very strategic and some are sort of enhancing products or competitive positioning, these sorts of things. So, a wide variety.
For you, the most important aspect then is trust when there is this collaboration mode. But let's say the client is not as desirable and as perfect as we wrote it in our metrics. Do you step back from such projects? Do you have the right to do it, or it's very, very bonded with a contract?
Businesses are businesses, and you take money when money's on the table. So you get very good clients, you get quite questionable clients, and you get good projects and you get not so good projects. And the beauty of consultancy, like I said, if it's a bad project and a bad client, it's over in 12 weeks. or however
Mm.
long the project goes. Now, if it's a good client, then that relationship can last several years. But it is about building up trust. And as I found, starting a new business, you're going through the phases of generating awareness. Sort of, here I am. This is what I do, and that takes a long time. I mean, I think they say it takes 2 years to build a brand. So you don't expect revenues to come rushing straight away. And yes, you've got some sort of track record because you've been in the industry a long time, but you still have to prove yourself each time and to people who might not know you.
What would be the approach to difficult clients?
The first thing in consultancy is expectation setting. So, people have an idea that consultancy might solve all of their problems. That they may have a product that's not doing very well in the marketplace, and they want to understand why, and they want to position it better. But they think by engaging a consultant, they can go from 0 revenue to 1 million revenue in 6 months. So you have to kind of pull them back. So expectation setting, I think the other key thing is communication, regardless of whether you've got a good client or a difficult client. Regular communication. So I always say I operate on a no surprises basis. If we're doing a survey, for example, I like to feed the information back gradually. I don't want to sort of spend, of course, 3-4 months doing something and then say, here are the results. When we're using a field agency, for example, and they're doing a survey of 500 businesses, we get early sight of the first 10%, then 50%, and you can start feeding back the results. And sometimes you've got to go back to the questions you were asking and ask them in a slightly different way to get the results that you want. And I mean, the thing I love about doing this sort of work is it's always different. So it's not like going to work every day, working for the same company, doing a very similar sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And each project that comes along is quite different, and it's challenging, and it pushes you in new directions. And it's always interesting to see how it maps out. And often, what you expect to happen isn't what really happens. It can be quite a different result as you go through the course of a project.
In the next video, Andrew will talk about the most typical projects he faced, compare the workflow of consultants now and 20 years ago, and discuss what technology excites him the most.